To just welcome everybody to today's session. We love having these. These are once a month sessions that are informal practices and sits led by our senior instructors on a method or a practice within our MBSR or MBCT curriculum. And we just love spending this time with you and having you join us. So with that, I will hand it off to Patty Holland, one of our senior instructors here at the School of Professional Studies. If you do have any questions or anything like that after the session, feel free to email or call us. We do have other info sessions about our programming. This one is just for great practice led by one of our instructors. So thank you very much. Patty?
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Jonathan. Hi, everyone. It's good to see you all. As Jonathan said, my name is Patty Holland, and I'm one of our MBSR teacher and teacher trainers here at the School of Professional Studies. And also really what I've been focusing on these last few years is developing and implementing our mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, our MBCT teacher training program. So really excited to have that launched, and also really excited to have you all here. And just we're going to sort of circle around and explore and practice around this question. Am I doing this right? Right? How many of you relate to this question? Am I doing this right? Yeah. Yeah, I think this comes up in almost every single class I teach, and I've been teaching for a while. It shows up in orientation, and sometimes it shows right back up in class 8. It's like, am I doing this right? Yeah, so I'm really curious about this question and what's behind this question for me and for all of us. So as I've been reflecting on it, often for me, what's behind it is some not yet acknowledged expectation or a desired outcome that I'm looking for, right? When I don't experience what I expect or what I want, I wonder, am I doing this right? When I'm learning something new and it feels messy and awkward, I wonder, am I doing this right? When I receive feedback, usually critical feedback of some kind about something, I wonder, am I doing this right? When I'm confused, when it feels like everyone else seems to be getting it, whatever it is, when I'm like, but wait a minute, the research says this, why aren't I experiencing this? So for those of you that are familiar with this question in whatever context, spend a moment now and see if you can recall a time when you had this question. It might have been about your mindfulness practice, or it might have been about something else. So see if you can recall a time or a moment when you were wondering, am I doing this right? And as you bring this to mind, see if you can identify the situation or the circumstance. As you reflect and recall this moment of wondering, are you aware of any thoughts or what was going on in your body, or any mood or emotion that might have been present? So for you, what are some of the things that are behind this question, am I doing it right? For you, and you can either raise your hand and speak or put them right in the chat. Yeah, there's feelings of fear and anxiety. Yeah, fitting in. Yeah, these automatic thought patterns, feeling lack of confidence or unprepared, feelings of frustration, worries about being wrong. Yeah, desire to live at a higher, often unachievable level, feeling inadequate, trying to control it all. Yes, so really seeing how what's behind this is often like wanting something to be a certain way, wanting something perhaps to be different than it is. Yeah, negative self, bias, doubt, and uncertainty. So let's take a look at this question specifically as it applies to mindfulness practice. Right? How many of you have had this question specific to your mindfulness practice? You just raise your hand or nod your head. Yeah. Yeah. I see, like, yeah. And then maybe you've heard from a teacher or read somewhere that there's really no wrong way to practice mindfulness. And then there's like, well, what does that mean? Like, there's no wrong way to practice. How do I experience the outcomes that I'm reading about, that I'm hearing about, right? There must be some right way. There must be something to do, right? So let's take a look at this, right? So when we look at mindfulness in a broad sense, mindfulness being awareness, being aware. So right now, are you aware of your body in the chair that it's in? Are you aware of feeling the weight of the body, the feet on the floor? Are you aware of maybe sounds in your environment? Right, so in this sense, this fundamental aspect of mindfulness, awareness, in that sense, we all have this capacity, this innate capacity to be aware. And there's lots of ways to be aware and to bring our experience and our awareness into the present moment. Lots of ways to practice informally. So right now, just take a moment and look around your environment. And just see if you can let your eyes fall on just different shapes and colors. And as you do this, also just noticing what else is going on in your experience. What else are you aware of in your body and in your mind? And maybe now shifting so that the soundscape in your environment comes center stage. Hearing the different tones and pitches, sounds in the distance, sounds that are near. So what if this is doing it right? Whatever right or wrong means. So different ways to come into the present moment and be aware. Our senses and our bodies bring us right into this moment. Brief practices. Those of you that have taken different mindfulness classes, right? We invite people to engage in activities like be on the lookout for pleasant events. Eat a meal mindfully. And if you can't find the time to eat a meal, or if you are in a setting where it's like, there's no way I can spend time really being with my food, then even just bringing awareness to one bite, right? So there's lots of different ways. When you're walking from couch to the next room, from one meeting to the other room, you can shift your attention to your feet, inviting yourself into the present moment. So what if these mini moments are being aware and doing it right? Judd Brewer, who is our Director of Research and Innovations here at the Mindfulness Center at Brown, and a neuroscientist and an addiction psychiatrist, will say, brief moments many times. What if this is one way of practicing, engaging, and being more present? What if this is doing it right? Well, so then let's turn for a moment to formal practice. Engaging in a formal practice such as the body scan, or focusing on a particular anchor or home base for our attention, such as the breath, or mindful movement, whether that's walking or yoga, Tai Chi, or some other movement that you do, even if you ride a bike or run or go to the gym or swim, when you're bringing your attention to the direct experience. So when we're engaged in practice, my experience, both personally and when I've talked to the hundreds of people that I've met through my classes, is one of the key things about am I doing it right, is this expectation or deep desire for our minds to just stop. I see some head nodding, right? It's like, wait a minute, if I'm doing it right, doesn't that mean I'll be clear, no thoughts? Or I'll focus on my breath and I'll never deviate. Sit, stay, perfect concentration. What if these are unattainable expectations and desires that aren't even the intended outcome? What if it's not possible to stop the mind from thinking? What if it's not possible to never experience reactivity or anxiety or sadness or depression or anger or frustration, or all the things we don't want to experience that make us wonder, I'm still experiencing these things, therefore I must not be doing it right? What if what we don't realize is sometimes when we come to practice, what we're harboring is a deep desire to be other than we actually are, which is human. Human beings in all of our messiness, in all of our complexities, with our neurophysiological systems as they are wired to spot the slightest threat, whether it's external or internal. Wait, was he looking at me funny? Wait, does it, right? We're always like on the lookout. And what if like our wiring, these bodies and these nervous systems that we have are wired to be like, keep us alive. And so there's this automatic appraisal of things as, oh, this is a threat. And the body's going to naturally respond to that. And we get mad at it. We want it to respond differently. What if doing it right is an invitation to just settle more fully into our humanness? To acknowledge and embrace our messiness, to recognize that we're going to have moments of reactivity, to recognize that we have pasts and histories, and we come from families and cultures and communities that have served us well and have not served us well. Right? What if doing it right means that we just allow ourselves to slide into being who and how we are, which doesn't necessarily mean that we're not going to make changes. For me, I've come to realize a lot of practice over the 35 years I've been practicing is to really sit in this tension of acknowledging and being with things and me and other people exactly as they are in the moment, and wanting things to be different. Right? It's like, both of these. And we find ourselves often in the middle. Right? So there is this middle way that we're learning to tread and learning to be with. Not too tight, not too rigid. More is not necessarily better. In fact, we may go through periods of time in our lives where it is really most wise and beneficial to not engage in a formal practice. To maybe spend time in nature and walking and being mindful and coming into the present moment in more informal ways. Not too loose, anything goes. That might not necessarily be the right way either. Right? So on one hand, right now, the research isn't necessarily conclusive about length of practice. And those of you that take mindfulness classes or teach mindfulness classes may be asking, well, then why the heck am I asking people to practice for 45 minutes? And it's such a bone of contention and people struggle with that. Right? So there's just a noble exploration for each of us to have. So the research is not necessarily conclusive about length of practice. It's very conclusive about consistency of practice. But of course, we can ask, what does that mean, though? Like, what do we get from that? What are we getting from that? Right? So any of these changes that the research is pointing to, whether in our health conditions, our physical or mental health conditions, or in the neuroplasticity of the brain, maybe that's what it refers to. And we do know that practicing mindfulness is cumulative. This is the consistency part. And we are starting to recognize that longer periods of practice may offer different benefits, but we get to choose this, right? We want to be able to practice in a way and in ways that will support us to continue practicing. When we're engaged in mindfulness, for me, I've come to realize that we're practicing and learning how to be with ourselves as we are in the moment, how to be with others as they are in the moment, how to be with the moment as it is, learning to live in this tension. So we don't want to practice in ways that push us into overwhelm, that can be harmful. And we also don't want to practice in ways that it's like, oh, I'm just going to check out and zone out. I'm just going to go to my happy place. That's what this is about. Right? We're cultivating being awake and present to the moment. So for me, here is where intention comes in. Right? The psychologist, Dr. Shauna Shapiro, talks about these three mechanisms of mindfulness: intention, attention, and attitude. All three come together. Intention, this purpose, the why that we might be practicing. Attention, what are we doing? Particularly at first, we're working with our concentration. And as important, attitude. Can we bring a curious, friendly, kind interest to our experience? So it's important to reflect on and know your why. What is your intention? What is your intention for practicing in the moment, in the long run? So for example, say one of the things you intend or wish for yourself is to have a regular practice. So when we start to move into formal practice, here is where we do look at a little bit of effort and a little bit of discipline. but we can look at what is it we're hoping to achieve. Right? So if you're wanting to establish a regular practice, discipline will be necessary. Choices will need to be made. When will you practice? How will you practice? What will you practice? If you're choosing to practice because you want to see for yourself if there are any changes to concentration or focus, then when you practice an attentional focus, your mind wandering and you bringing it back, that's actually really good practice. That's not a sign of, am I doing it wrong? It's like, woohoo, this is going very well. Look at all this time I get to practice. I'm going to focus on the breath. Shoo, there my mind goes. I get to bring it back. So the practice may not feel very comfortable. The practice itself may not be what you want, but it's practice. So you have the opportunity then to discover if and how this has any impact overall on your life and on your concentration going forward. So let's practice now. Yeah, right. Let's do this. I'm going to be very clear. We're going to practice for about 20 minutes. And we're going to start with a focused attention, and then we're going to do a little open awareness of the body. Why am I telling you this? Now you don't need to wonder what we're doing. And how about we invite the intention of, let's just practice for the sake of practicing. No expectations, no desired outcome. Let's just see how it goes. So settle into a position that feels comfortable. Making any adjustments that you need. Feeling your sitting bones just settle and release right down into the surface that you're sitting on. Feeling your feet on the floor. Aware of wherever your hands are resting. Choosing to close your eyes or allow for a soft gaze. And just for a moment, becoming aware of your breathing and just noticing how the breath is. And so for this first part of the practice, we'll engage in a focused attention. And for those of you that aren't familiar with this type of practice, this is where we're offering the mind one place to rest attention and return attention to. Befriending the mind in this way. So the breath might be an option, finding where you most vividly feel the breath and letting the sensations of that be the place where you guide the attention to. And then when you notice that the mind has wandered, thoughts have popped up as they will, guiding it back to the breath. Other possible places to anchor and rest attention might be the feet. Or the hands. Allowing the sensations here at the feet or the hands. Provide support. And another one is sound. So for this part of the practice, see if you can choose one of these. The breath, feet, or hands, or sound. Guide the attention there. Let's all agree that it's very likely the mind is going to wander, attention will pivot. You'll be caught up in thinking. And at those moments, you do have a choice, stay with the train of thought, or if your intention is to practice and see how it goes, then just guiding the attention back each and every time. Inviting this to be how you'll engage with your life as it unfolds moment to moment right now. We're practicing in this way, just for the sake of practicing, not to get anywhere, realize anything, experience anything in particular, but just this intention to practice focused attention. And as you become aware of what else arises for you in your experience, mind wandering, mind commenting on the practice, emotions arising, whatever, simply acknowledging this. It's like, oh, frustration just popped into my awareness. Thoughts are arriving fairly steadily. Not need to push it away, not need it to not be there, to not come, just acknowledging this is what's here now. And then we remember that we're practicing. Oh, right, yeah, back to my anchor. As we practice, we learn that there are some ways of practicing that can be supportive for us. These are the attitudes that we aspire to cultivate. So engaging in practice with a spirit of kindness and gentleness. Even if the content of a particular thought feels maybe a little harsh or critical, we just recognize that that too came into awareness. Not an indication of something going wrong. Oh, that. And then since we're practicing focused attention, beginning again if needed, guiding attention back to where you intended. Letting go of any intended or desired outcome or result of practicing at this time. So this isn't not having expectations. We can't help but have expectations. So acknowledging these and then just seeing if you can hold them lightly. Clinging to them is what can cause us some distress. Here again, practicing for the sake of practice. What a relief it can be when we offer ourselves fully to something, releasing the grip of intended outcome. And now let's open up our awareness a little bit and expand to having a sense of the entire body in our awareness. So once again, feeling the body in the chair, the sense of gravity as the body settles into the chair, feeling the feet on the floor, aware of where your hands are. Maybe aware of the sensations of clothing against skin, temperature. Aware of the various sensations within the body. And sometimes as we begin to shift towards a more open awareness, holding in awareness something larger than just a particular anchor, but the whole body and the various sensations that rise and linger and shift and change, the mind can start to feel more active or unsteady. And so if this is true for you, knowing you can always intentionally shift to a focused attention. Right? Returning once again to that anchor that you were practicing with. And here too, again, nothing to get here. Nothing to necessarily achieve. Practicing for the sake of practice. In all its simplicity and its complexity. Inviting the different sensations of the body to be of interest, to be known. As we do this, we can become familiar with different habits and patterns of mind. Noticing how the mind just automatically appraises and comments and likes or doesn't like. All that goes on. We can be aware of it, but we don't have to get caught up in it. Practicing here, attending to the body. The breath. Feet and hands. Feeling the temperature. What else are you aware of in your body right now? practicing without concern or thoughts for whether or not you're doing it right. Offering as best you can moment to moment. Not having a particular outcome or achieved state be an indication of whether it's going well or not well. Beginning again and re-engaging with practice every time you realize, oh, I just totally spaced out there. No harm, nothing wrong. Something that happened in this period of practice. You're aware of it. It's your choice what comes next. How you respond. Opening to the newness of each moment. Allowing awareness of and attending to the body to serve as a way to be present. And now starting to bring this practice to a close. So for a few moments, returning once again to a particular anchor that you were practicing with. And you may already be doing this. So once again, inviting a more attentional focus. Feeling this breath or the sensations at the hands or the feet. Or opening to the sounds where you are. And then now allowing breathing to become a bit more deliberate. So taking 3 deeper and slower breaths at a depth, at a pace, and a rhythm that feels most comfortable for you at this time. And just inviting the attention to follow the inhalation, noticing where you feel that in the body, feeling the exhalation. Letting the breath return to a natural rhythm and flow. And then transitioning by just bringing some gentle movement to the body. Reaching the arms up overhead or stretching. Rolling the shoulders, the neck. Opening the eyes if you haven't already done so. And first having a broad view. So just looking around the room and aware of your screen and the group that we're with. And then gradually starting to bring the attention right to the screen. And just taking a peek at those that have joined us, whether it be a name on the screen or actual face. So opening it up now for a few moments, just curious as to how practice was for you. Would anyone like to share? Either in the chat or just come on off mute. Yeah, Karen, please. Karen, you're in, yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to figure it out. So initially I chuckled to myself a bit because I'm sitting in my office and it's quiet and I was settling in and there was the pleasant. And then the corner of my office is actually the outside of the building. And there's a lot of loud noise right outside of the building. So even your offering of sometimes practice isn't what we think it's going to be. Like, here it is.
Here it is.
Mhm.
Yeah. And how was that for you?
It was okay. A pattern of mine would be I would spend a few minutes thinking about how, oh darn, I wish that wasn't happening. After the intro, I just noted it and could smile and be like, oh yeah, here it is.
Yeah.
Something I don't really want to be happening and something that I do want to be happening.
Right, right. It's like, oh, I want it to be a little bit differently now. Why aren't they quiet? Yeah. So noticing that and just being like, oh, here it is.
Yeah, and that I can sit with both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's practicing. Yeah. Someone else.
Can I say something?
You
Hello.
sure can. Yeah, Jen, please.
First of all, thank you, and thank you to everyone. I would like to say that I notice that whenever I practice with a group, I have a focus of attention, right? And when I'm by myself, that's a different feeling, right? In my room, at home, it's different. And I mean, I don't know, I don't want to put any expectation on it, kind of like what you said at the beginning, but I noticed that both of them are different, but they have similarities of bringing the mind back. It feels easier today to be with a group doing it.
Yeah.
But maybe it's because the beginning part, the intention was to just be with the practice, right? As opposed to maybe something else that happens in the morning with me.
Yeah.
But I like that different awareness that I noticed, and I like to I want to try this with just me in my space
Yeah.
and practice. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Someone else. Yeah, Dagmar, please.
First of all, thank you, Patty and everyone. It's wonderful to be in community. It's so important to circle back to that for me. And while we were practicing, I had to smile at this one particular moment in one of the courses I was teaching. I had it beautifully planned out, and this group was very much in tune with nature. And so I gave it some time for people to participate. And then the exact moment, excuse me, where I thought I was going to shift, one person started to share. And she shared, and she shared, and she shared. And I was watching myself contracting slightly in the chest region, thinking, there's a whole curriculum I have to get in here. And then I remembered in one of the classes I was taking, training, that there was one particular participant who every single week shared a lot. And that was just what needed to happen. So then I released all that, ditched a quarter of the curriculum, and it turned out just fine. So my mind came back to, oh, there was this, and then there was the release.
Yeah.
And so that felt that was, I will remember that moment forever.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yes, please, Lauren. Laureen. Laureen, you're on mute. I don't know how to help you on the iPhone. Jonathan, I don't know if you can help Laureen. I'll give you another moment. Sometimes it's *6 on the phone, Laureen.
Okay. Hello?
You got it.
Okay. Thank you. So, I appreciated so much the explanations that you gave in the first part of class. And I found a real one really big difference for me while I was practicing, in that when my mind drifted and I caught it and came back, I didn't I didn't feel badly about it. I just felt like, oh, that's how it goes. This is what I'm supposed to do, kind of, and it was, even though maybe on some intellectual level I would have known that beforehand, I don't know, but I wouldn't have felt it. I wouldn't have felt that way. So I really appreciate that, it made a big difference for me.
Yeah, thank you, Lorraine. Anyone else? And Michael, thank you for your comments in the chat. All right, well, we're at time. So maybe what we can do is, just as we close, do a couple things actually. Have a sense of your body sitting in the chair. So have a sense of yourself, feel yourself, right? And then with your eyes open, connected to yourself, take a peek around at the people we just spent this time with, this good company we had, right? Connecting with ourselves and connecting with others. And maybe in this way, as we sign off, we can do this and just offer well wishes. May everyone everywhere be free from inner and outer harm. May everyone everywhere know peace. May everyone everywhere live with ease. These are intentions that we're well wishing. They might not always be manifesting, but we can wish them and hold them. So thank you all, and hope to see you again soon. Be well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.